evening and welcome to the Thai PBS World. Last week, in his address to the whole nation, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said he would like to submit an open letter to 20 richest business people in Thailand. And today he has already done so. But he didn't ask for money, didn't ask for donation, but he would like to reach out to business community. In the Thai PBS World tonight, Kun Thep Chaiyong and me talk to Kun Korn Jatikawanit, former finance minister and Kla party leader, what he would like to tell the government.
So why don't we start off by talking about the gesture from the Prime Minister, the fact that he wants to sit down and talk to the country's top 20 billionaires for ideas and advice on how to deal with the situation.
Given that they control a significant percentage of the economy, in a way it's not surprising that the Prime Minister would want their advice and also want their assistance. There is actually a lot that they can do to help the Thai people. They control much of the modern trade, for example, so if they were to collectively agree to reduce prices in their stores, that would already be of great benefit to the Thai public. I'm sure there are other contributions that they can make. So as I said, one of the problems is how much of the economy the top 20 tycoons do actually control. But given that, it's not surprising that the Prime Minister wants their help.
You would do the same, right, if you were in a position to deal with the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I would talk to the top 20, I'd talk to the people, I'd talk to SMEs and small operators. I think it's time to hear everybody's views. And I think part of the Prime Minister's problem, frankly, was communication. The fact that he wants to talk to the 20 tycoons is not a surprise, as I said, given how much they control of the economy. But I think the way it was communicated made some people feel, well, why is he only talking to the super rich? And also, I think it reflects the perception that for the past 5 or 6 years since he's been in power, he has been working already very closely in economic affairs with the Thailand's richest. And in that period, they have gotten richer. The problem of income inequality remains with us Thais. So I think that was part of the background problem in terms of how that particular message was received. Not least also, the people who actually desperately want the Prime Minister's attention at the moment are the small and medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs. Aside from the general public who are clearly suffering, the SMEs are struggling. They're struggling with their cash flow. They're struggling, obviously, because almost none of them are able to continue to operate during this period. And for them, it's a matter of survival. And so far, none of the measures that have been announced has been proven to be effective for them. So I think there's a level of frustration on the part of SMEs as well. And so when the message came through that the Prime Minister wants to spend more time with the tycoons, I guess some people feel sort of left out.
So it's a message, that's a problem.
I think it was a mood and tone, yes.
Yeah.
Kun Korn, so if you were asked, what would you like to tell the government?
Well, what I've been saying to the government from the start is that primarily this is a cash flow issue, both in view of the general public and also from the, as I said, from the perspective of the SMEs. The large corporations, we're all suffering, but the large corporations at least have access to capital, access to financial loans and so on and so forth, and arguably also access to the capital markets. But SMEs and the general public, they don't have similar access, nor do they have similar stored up cash flow and for them, therefore, it's a matter of survival. So any measures that the government introduces needs to address the issue of cash flow. Unfortunately, this hasn't happened. For example, for SMEs, we identified three main costs that is depleting their cash flow daily. The most important one is obviously payroll. The second one is loan services, and the third one is rent. So we've suggested, for example, that the government come up with a policy not dissimilar to some other countries, whereby they subsidize salary payments, especially for SMEs.
So it looks like you believe that it's the SMEs that are in the most dire condition that certainly needs the most attention from the government at this moment, right?
Well, from a business perspective, yes, but also bear in mind that if you really want to ask businesses for help with regards to employment retention, you really don't want to go to the top 20 tycoons. You want to go to the SMEs because, as we know, 90% of high staff are employees of SMEs in this country. And so they are at risk. And by helping SMEs with their cash flow, what the government is also getting in return is control on the level of unemployment. So, yeah, I think the two most distressed groups are, one, the general public, and the government at least is attempting to reduce their problems with the 5,000 baht payments, but that's a separate issue with separate set of difficulties and problems. But the other group that I think need urgent assistance is the SME.
Kun overall economic growth is not quite uplifting, especially after we listen to IMF has forecast. We may be facing -6% this year. And what would happen in the medium term to revive the whole economy, not only in Thailand, but globally?
Well, before we talk about revival, I think we need to address the issue of survival. And that's why I keep on stressing the importance of cash flow. Without cash, forget revival. We need to talk about rebirth because everybody will be bankrupt, I think, within, frankly, a month or two. So I think keeping the engine going, making sure that there's enough cash in the till for small operators is the key here. Now, Thailand, as you will have heard from the IMF, looks to potentially suffer the most in Asia. Is actually, according to IMF forecasts, we are one of the worst hit countries in the world at 6.7% this year and another 6% next year potentially. And I think that's partly because one, we were already weak going into COVID. We were one of the slowest growing economies in Asia even before COVID-19 reared its head. And going out of it, we are more exposed because we are one of the most open economies in Asia. We depend a lot on international trade. We depend hugely on tourism. And both of those obviously are the sectors that are going to be impacted by the reduced global demand.
That's the view from Kun Jatikawanit, former finance minister. And that's all from Thai PBS World tonight.